I'm just out with Kyle today. We're at a place that used to be full of grass snakes when I was his age and younger. Unfortunately, nature's changed and it's all become overgrown. Certainly the main hotspot with hawthorn and shaded out the ground. But we're just checking out a little spot nearby in a pond that also they used to live in, just to see what's here really. And then we're going to go and lift some rocks in the stream. Kyle's over there. Look how small he is. We're going to go and lift some rocks in the stream and see the state of the bullheads and the stone loads. Again, used to be absolutely chock-a-block with them. See if there's any big ones left or if they're all just small now because of the red signal crayfish just mullering the population. So if we get anything, we'll show you in a second. Now what used to bring the grass snakes here was a huge toad population. Look how clear that water is. Not a single tadpole or toad or frog spawn or frog tadpole in sight or newt. It was a massive toad population around here in the nearby lake, and that's what fed a big colony of grass snakes, none of which we can find right now. Wow, so we've just waded sort of waist high through undergrowth, and this is where some of these rewilding people don't really understand what they're asking for. You know, we say, okay, we'll let nature take its course. Most of the UK, I don't mean the very highlands of Scotland, but most of the UK, wild places are rare and they're tucked here and there and they're not expansive. So look at this. This was all over there. It's a massive lake and it was reed beds around there. Actually, it wasn't reed beds, it was reed mace beds. And all of this, what you can see here, was ankle high, dry grassland habitat really. Ankle high vegetation, lots of dumped rubbish from car yards further that way, full of metal, so it didn't look nice, but my goodness, for snakes and lizards, this place was a mecca. My old mate Keith Brady and I, in the school Easter holidays, this is where we'd come if it was sunny, because that's when the toads were spawning. And the grass snakes around this lake, there were dozens and dozens, and some of them were huge snakes. And this is what they've got now, nothing. There's nothing here for snakes to live in, all shaded out. We can't even get through. And yet you could walk around this huge area. It was flat, it was sort of ankle high with a few hawthorn bushes. These hawthorns are now massive. So nature's took over, it's rewilded itself. And this is what you get first stage of rewilding once it goes mad, is just bramble thickets. So that's great for your foxes, that's great for your muntjac. Not bad for things like robins and blackbirds to nest in. But species diversity, that's gone when it comes to reptiles on this whole site. And you say, well, that's nature, it changes, it does. But there's nowhere else for snakes to go because this site is in amongst really town. And that's like a lot of English countryside, which is mostly man-made. So what we could have done here, what people could have done if this was someone really wanted to, was to keep a lot of this bramble cleared. Leave your bramble patches that were always here for your blackbirds, your muntjac, which aren't even native, your robins and things. And open sunbathing areas for those snakes and common lizards, of which there were loads. There'll still be some here because there's a river runs through behind the lake. But as we showed in the last video, even along the river and a small offshoot little Loxbow pond kind of thing that used to have lots of toads in it as well. Can't even see a tadpole, certainly couldn't see any snakes. And unfortunately, in my life of growing up in Northamptonshire, everywhere, I used to find grass snakes in profusion, just patches here and there. They've all gone, they've all gone. The others have all actually been built on and built over, so there's not even habitat left for the snakes and the amphibians anymore. But for sure, this one, nature has taken over. You might just have to see the lake through there. Nature's taken over, and it's basically just turned into an acreage of huge bramble patches and hawthorn. We're going to try and get to the lake, just see if there's any tadpoles still down there. Hopefully there's at least some toads around here. We'll let you know if we find anything. It's a sad thing though, if you really like your British reptiles and amphibians. So we're at the water's edge, but it is totally impenetrable really. You can't walk on this stuff because you'll disappear up to your knees or your waist, and again, bramble. all the way around. You used to have to walk around this lake, around its perimeter as well. And over there, all overgrown. Beautiful lake, keeps people out. Fortunately, really tough on the snakes, because once they're finished feeding around here in the springtime, they want to get back on land and sunbathe. They live under the rocks and the junk and things like that. Beautiful to look at. Shame about the snakes. I found this little fella. He looks well happy. Look at him. Well, good news. Not that there's a Canada goose nesting right under our feet, but actually, Kyle did just see. We just heard and saw 2 grass snakes on this spot. We've managed to get round that. Yeah, once you hear them move and you don't get them by the tails, they just disappear into the reeds. Yeah, like Carl said, down into the water. And you're not going to find them. If you find it, I'll be amazed. Brimstone butterfly. Look at this. So this is exactly what it was like as a kid. The snakes would be sunbathing on this early vegetation, ready to dive in, or fish and catch amphibians. Sorry, madam, we're going to come past. Look at her sitting tight like that. Amazing, really protecting those babies.
Might have been her hissing that made me think it was 2.
Yeah, there definitely was a snake at one side, wasn't there? So look at her, bless her. Looking after those eggs. Oh no, look at those beauties. Good girl. Let's see what else we find. So we made it round. And look at this. So look at this open area. This whole site, apart from a few salix and a few hawthorns and things, this whole site was open with shrubs dotted around, little bramble patches dotted around, and lots of rubbish out in the sunshine and rocks, just full of reptiles. Now this bit's not too bad considering most of it's like this. So completely different habitat and welcome for many species. Certainly the birds are going to prefer it like this. So this is quite newly dumped, but fresh. So yeah, so fresh grass under it. So this has just been dumped. So you can't believe that someone's actually brought that rubbish down here. It's absolutely ludicrous. Absolute mess. But certainly brilliant habitat for snakes if it had been here a while. Let's see what we find. Here's one of my favourite spring flowers. This is cookie pine or lady's smock. Great nectar provider for orange tips on the wing. More importantly, it lays its eggs on them, and it's a food plant for the orange tip caterpillar. So I think we've come to the conclusion, after finding one snake and covering a lot of area. So going sort of numbers wise, I'd have expected to find a dozen as a boy over here. And I think massive habitat loss for the snakes. But there is still some hibernation sites up away from the floodwater in the winter, sort of in a bit of sun. There's still opportunity for that. I think it's lack of food. Not a single tadpole, not a single. We've turned quite a lot of rubbish and stones over. Not a snake, but no toads. This place was absolutely heaving with toads, thousands of toads, and massive food source for those grass snakes. The lake itself, which you can't see again now, but the lake itself is a deep lake, very deep drop off straight from the edge. Lots of reed beds for toad tadpoles, but if there's no toads there, no frogs there, was never high in frog numbers. A lot of fish in there, so toad tadpoles, fish tend to leave them alone a lot more than they do frog tadpoles, toads being poisonous. It's not somewhere where the grass snakes can switch to eating small fish easily, because grass snakes, when they're eating small fish, they like to hunt on shallow streams and go underwater, and they literally poke their heads under the rocks and pin small minnows and stone loads and things and little bullheads, but they can kind of pin them under the rocks. They can't chase them mid-water and snap them up as easily, that's for sure. So I think the biggest thing, simply lack of their main food source of yesteryear. When the grass snakes were common here, their main food source was without a doubt the common toad, who isn't anymore. So a bit of a shame. We're going to go on now. We're going to walk the river upwards. We're going to see if we can find any river fish about probably a good 1.5 miles away. and see if there's any snakes on the way. But the next bit is more public. People walk their dogs along the river, so much less likely to see snakes sunbathing on the riverbank there. But we'll go and see what we find. Big old fox. Look at that. Look at that, broad daylight. Most indignant there.
Cow fox, isn't it? Right, look at his tail.
Look at that, I didn't count off.
Oh,
Yeah, I reckon Foxy was sunbathing. Yeah, it did look, yeah. He was definitely sunbathing. Chilling out.
Yeah, the greenery's all pushed down here.
Oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah, definitely. Look at that. It's only over there. Hasn't gone far. Nice big brambles.
Just watching it.
Beautiful.
There is no one even doing that, is there?
No,
There's no
that's
kids
it.
having a picnic
No.
or anything. It's just...
So look, we're walking on the river now, way away from the lake. And this is all public land, footpath. That's a very big sort of part of Northamptonshire over there called Kingsthorpe, so it's like a small town area. With just a stone's throw, literally, the entrance to this. It's like a nature reserve, sort of done out. It's Saturday, the weather is glorious, just at the end of April. And this is how many parents have brought their kids down to the river, out into nature, because it's free and they can walk here by the thousands. Thousands of people could walk here in 5 minutes, really, 10 to 20 minutes. And there isn't a single family with their kids with a bandy net down here looking for creepy crawlies, tiddlers. And this is why conservation is so damn hard, because if you can't get 20 and 30-year-olds interested enough to take their little kids out for free, it's absolutely full of butterflies. We've seen loads of orange tips, speckled woods, lots of brimstones, blue butterflies. There's an hour's entertainment straight there for any children with a bandy net. Chase the butterflies around in the sunshine and see if they can find out what they are when they get home. It's cripplingly sad, it really is. So instead there's two grown men walking around with bandy nets now to survey some rocks under a bridge, again, that I've been coming to for years, to see if it's just going to be full of red signal crayfish, or is it going to be home to bullheads and stoneloach, these unique river fish that once lived here. I know one thing, there won't be any British white-claw crayfish, which used to be abundant here. The red claws and their plague have certainly killed those things off. But the river's low. We've not had any rain now for a while. This is a deeper bit and you can clearly see the bottom. And we're going to go somewhere shallow and rocky. Look over there. So red claw crayfish, signal crayfish from America. They've completely changed the UK waterways, the ecosystems, and there's something else they do. Huge tunnels they've dug into that riverbank over there. They're normally underwater, by the way. And then you get the spring, or rather the winter floods coming around here, and you just get land collapse like this into the river. They've certainly altered our ecosystems aquatically, shockingly. Pretty much in the whole UK. Look at these. These are minnows, nondescript little fish. Hang on, but look at them at this time of the year. This is a male minnow. Look at that. Full breeding colours. Where's that other one? Full breeding colours. Oh.
Not as colourful.
Not as colourful. Oh, keep them still there.
Hang on.
Absolutely. What a fish. This is a British fish found in most fresh streams. Look at that. It doesn't get much better than that. Keep your tropical fish. Male minnow in breeding dress. This is the kind of habitat, probably a foot deep-ish, strewn with rocks. Underneath these river rocks you've got a variety plenty of fish. We've got a bullhead there. We've got a stone loach, that fat one there. A couple of tiny baby gudgeon, as well as half a dozen minnows. So it's nice to see. We did catch a lot of crayfish, but not that many, and no big ones, which was really good. But not a lot. We've looked into every rock under 2 bridges. We've caught 2 bullheads and 1 stone loach, which were the target species. However, we probably didn't catch, a lot of them probably gave us a slip. Interesting as well, they're not big, so we're talking the biggest one's 3 inches long. Beautiful British fish, tiddlers of many childhoods of yesteryear. What we've done to the waterways, the gravel beds are silting up, the water levels are dropping, the water's not as clean, and worst of all, the signal crayfish is not good for these guys here. They're magnificent fish, and they're the same kinds of fish we've got at the Falconry Centre for people to see and understand and learn about. They need our help, but for now, we'll get these guys back where they came from.